El 25 de marzo se va a realizar la cuarta caravana de IVAC a Washington, D.C. Van a venir gente de más de 20 ciudades de todos los Estados Unidos con una sola misión, para entregar 545 cartas a todos los senadores, a todos los representantes del Congreso, con una sola misión: exponer ante ellos mismos la amenaza real que es la narcodictadura de Nicolás Maduro. Estos son tiempos muy difíciles a nivel geopolítico, son tiempos peligrosos en la geopolítica mundial. Pero este movimiento representa a muchos miles de personas que sentimos verdadero temor aquí en los Estados Unidos por las consecuencias de tener un enemigo tan fuerte como es el gobierno de Venezuela en el patio delante de nosotros, está en nuestro patio de adelante.
Edgar, ¿nos podría mostrar el video que tiene preparado?
Sí.
Why are Iranian weapons on display in military parades in Latin America? In June 2022, the presidents of Venezuela and Iran signed a 20-year partnership agreement to promote cooperation between the two countries. But why would the Iranian regime be interested in a country so far from home? This is actually nothing new. Iran's interest in embedding itself in a place like Venezuela is twofold. One, Venezuela's proximity to the United States, and two, the financial opportunities of the South American drug trade. The relationship between Iran and Venezuela has become increasingly strong ever since Hugo Chavez began his presidency in 1999. The two governments' shared animosity for the United States gave them common ground for cooperation, and between 2000 and 2012, dozens of diplomatic visits gave rise to hundreds of agreements in the areas of energy, tourism, agriculture, engineering, defense, and more. By 2012, Iran's investments and loans in Venezuela were valued at $15 billion. The Iranian government was sending Venezuela oil and gas, as well as civilian resources like cars and military infrastructure like drones. As both countries repeatedly came under new U.S. sanctions, Iran and Venezuela's strategic partnership continued to grow, with current presidents Raisi and Maduro aiming last year to increase bilateral trade from $3 billion to $20 billion.
ارتباط بین ایران و ونزوئلا یک ارتباط راهبردی است که دو کشور رو که از منافع مشترک، نگاه مشترک، دشمن مشترک.
Because of its close proximity to the US, Iran uses Venezuela as its home base in South America. Iran delivers weapons to Venezuela by air and sea that are very well capable of hitting US territory. For example, the Iranian Mohajer 6 UAV that was displayed during a recent military parade in Venezuela has a flight time of 12 hours and a range of 1,200 miles, placing US cities like Miami well within striking distance. Iranian Zolfajr boats armed with anti-ship missiles currently sit off the coast of northwest Venezuela. Even though these boats are not meant to go very far into the ocean, the missiles they carry are. Iran turned Venezuela into a land bridge to the extensive South American drug trade network in countries like Brazil, Colombia, Bolivia, and Mexico, among others. By sending operatives to South America from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and its proxy military in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah, Iran creates financial opportunities abroad to fund its global terror machine locally. In 2018, for example, Hezbollah's treasurer, Assad Ahmed Barakat, was arrested in the triple frontier between Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. Barakat was a top figure in Hezbollah's drug trafficking and money laundering, and was the key financier of the deadliest terrorist attack in Argentina's history, the 1994 bombing of the Jewish Community Center. And just last year, the Iranian President Raisi made visits to Cuba and Nicaragua to work on strengthening Iran's ties to their other allies in Latin America. Even though Venezuela is 7,000 miles away from the Middle East, Iran and Venezuela see themselves as part of the same team, enabling Iran to threaten the US from close by and presenting an opportunity for Iran to expand its presence in the region. The Venezuela-Iran alliance is just one part of Iran's axis of terror and ongoing attempts to destabilize the Western world.
There are so many reasons that we need to be concerned about this. Just the fact that we can be hit by a drone is something to be scared. We need to act. We need to stop Maduro.
Yeah, in that sense, if I may intervene, the threat this regime actually represents goes far beyond what everybody reaches. I'm going to give you just a few statistics to put it in perspective. Venezuela has training camps for Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Revolutionary Guard from Iran's armies. In there, they are actually not only harboring but training future terrorists. There are more than 2,500 locations inside Venezuela where they are getting trained. They have weapons, they have drones, they have airplanes, they have tanks. This is a real threat. There's a facility in the middle of the country called the Air Base Carrizales, where originally it was built to testing exocet missiles. This facility it's completely ruled by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and from there, with their drones and with their missiles, they can easily reach this nation. We are only 1,300 miles away from Venezuela. That takes about 1.5 to 2 hours of jet plane flight. Venezuela has Sukhoi 30, they have F 16s. Venezuela is an actual real threat that put all of us in harm's way. We, as American Venezuelans, urge our congressmen and our administration to take decisive action of law enforcement because this is a narco terrorist organization. This has to be stopped, and it has to be stopped urgently. That's why we actually urge petition that there's something that has to be done in a swift manner before it is too late.
I have a question regarding when you ask the US government to act, what act means? I mean, are you asking for a military intervention to increase the pressure of the sanctions, for example? We know that the sanctions are actually ongoing, but it is not making the change that many of the Venezuelans in the diaspora are hoping. So when you ask act, what does mean?
Well, the Secretary of Defense, Marco Rubio, already said that all the options are on the table. He already said that they are taking care of all those options, and it's their call. But we trust that they have the right choices, that they have the tools, and they can produce a result.
Not only that, as a matter of fact, and this is one of the main goals of this caravan, is um, the Florida Senator Rick Scott, which is an amazing ally for the Venezuelan people. He has introduced already in the Congress a law called Stop Maduro Act, in which the Senator Scott actually requests the increase from 25 to 100 million dollars the reward for Maduro's head. And what this means is this is not going to be something that it's going to be paid by the taxpayer dollar. No, this is a reward that would be paid by the Venezuelan treasury. As a matter of fact, the United States already has in their possession vast amounts of money that has been seized from the illicit traffic and illicit activities this government and their people have committed. So the resources are there. The results are there. All we ask is urgently address it, urgently act upon it. And like the Secretary of State mentioned, all options are on the table. I'm very sure that our president will make the right call and will take the decisions that he deems the most appropriate to eliminate this threat in our homeland.
El tema ahora es que el problema no es de nosotros los venezolanos. El tema ahora es que Estados Unidos y el hemisferio tienen un grave problema en su casa. Nosotros exhortamos a todos los países democráticos en el mundo a que se asumen a esta problemática grande que refleja el tren de Aragua y esta banda de criminales en Venezuela, el cartel de los soles, liderado por Maduro y Diosdado Cabello. Este es un tema que compete en todas las regiones y más ahora a los Estados Unidos, donde tienen precisamente al enemigo en el patio de su casa, donde se sabe que están operando bandas criminales terroristas en Venezuela, como lo acaba de decir ahorita Tom y Edgar. Entonces, el tema aquí principal es que el problema lo tiene muy erradicado los Estados Unidos. Así que el llamado es a la administración, no tanto de los Estados Unidos, sino de los países aliados y de todos los países democráticos en el mundo, de que lo que representa ahorita estas bandas criminales y precisamente el cartel de los soles es un problema mundial.